Okay, so hold on, I didn't want to go live right away.
Yeah, now it's still going,
So wait,
because I got the notification. Just gonna let-
I didn't want, we're not live yet though. So can I just do this? Stop it? Or, okay, thank you so much. I also have to make comments room panelist or something. Got it.
Hello there, Kit.
Hi.
Hello.
Speak to them, see if they can hear you.
Can you hear me?
I can. I can.
I am your evil twin.
Indeed. Indeed.
Kid and I wanted to be alone in the room together.
Yeah. You might want to adjust the camera, the angle of the camera for the table. It's not quite centered.
Yeah, see.
Where are you? Yeah. It's not quite centered.
You're not touching anything in
Shift
this.
it over. Shift it over to the left.
Hey, I'm moving.
Even though shift it over to the left, I think a little bit, slightly.
Kid says she's not touching anything.
I'm not touching anything in this room.
Hi, Kate.
Hi.
How you doing?
Okay, I just don't like computers and they don't like me.
Oh, okay.
Okay, moving. Makes me feel so executive.
Yes, you have to.
Indeed.
We have no chair.
Well, I saw Lisa come in earlier, but I don't know what she did.
On another Zoom doing something. She'll come when she can.
Oh, I see.
Um,
Okay.
So basically,
So you want, this is the agenda.
How this works is that, as you know, now that the governor's order is back, to live meetings mandatory.
Huh?
Commissioners can attend by Zoom, but they can't vote unless they make their address.
They won't be able to see you on that side.
So let me just shut this door.
How are you?
So as I was saying, it's perfectly fine for commissioners to attend on Zoom if they need to. The only catch is that now that the governor we're past COVID, so you can no longer attend by Zoom and be actively engaged, like as in vote, unless you make your addresses public and the public is invited to come to wherever you are. Yeah, so those who visit by Zoom can chime in, speak, but we don't have a quorum unless we have enough people.
She is not, she has another thing, celebrating Flag Hour today, and I think it's not something.
Can everybody mute your microphones?
Yes, I can hear you. Did you say we have to make our address known in order to vote?
Yeah, we were just hearing a foreign voice and I didn't know where
Oh.
it was coming from. No, I said that, now that we're out of COVID, if commissioners are allowed to attend meetings by Zoom, but if you want to fully participate, if we're going to have a quorum, then commissioners would have to vis-a-vis the public calendar, advise the public that you are participating from said address and that the public is invited to join you at said address. If that's not possible, then you're not actually fully attending the meeting, but you may speak.
I think what we need from now on is, everyone goes to the same bar. Kid, I'm sorry, you're gonna have to be here.
I'll have to stay here. So anyway, again, like last week, we just had a discussion, because we didn't have a quorum last week either, so I guess we. Hi, no, we don't, but if you could sit next to Lisa, because, then nobody will be able to see you.
Oh,
I'm not touching the camera.
it's okay if I'm,
Yeah,
Please sit.
that's a table.
it's okay if you're at the table. So if you want to, call this discussion to order, Ward, if you want to lead by following the agenda, great. I guess we'll skip over some things, but,
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Good evening.
Thank you, board, for chairing the meeting.
Delighted. Who's on Zoom? I see Mary Elena, I see DJ, I see Julio. Who else?
nobody.
That's it?
Look,
Okay.
that's it.
So 3, 4, 5 of us all together.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So has everyone read the minutes from the last meeting?
Yes,
Okay. I thought, by the way, they were for someone who wasn't at the meeting, I thought they were very good. I really appreciated reading them. But rather depressing conversation about no pay for the artists, I thought, in the commission. But if we were to have a quorum, would everyone, do I hear a motion to?
We can.
I just want to know that everyone is satisfied with the minutes. Is everyone okay with the minutes?
Yep,
Lisa?
I don't know how to comment about the no pay for artists, because it was the context wasn't there, so I felt like it was an inaccurate presentation of what it was,
Hold
so.
on, because there's outside, can everybody, on Zoom, could you please mute your microphones? Thank you.
But unmute when you want to speak. Go ahead.
So anyway, I felt like it was,
We're still on mute.
did somebody say we were at a bar right now? Anyway, yeah, I don't know, I would like to.
Do you want to put this on the agenda? Do you want to put this on the agenda again? For
No, actually, if
No,
there's
it's already moving forward.
if there's corrections, modifications, Lisa and I had a discussion after the commission meeting, and there's been, there was a difficult conversation, but weren't there some changes made?
Well, yeah, I think that the group and myself too, on behalf of the Midtown Arts District, appreciated the feedback in terms of the language, but it wasn't about hiring and not paying artists. It wasn't about taking their work, and the whole project wasn't about that. It was really about ideation, so we changed the language on it so that there would not be confusion there. And so that's helpful, because that's why we're here, right? So,
what's ideation?
well, so there's the parklet, right? Did you see the?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's about community generating ideas about what the space could be.
Oh, okay.
So when I was approached by Ken, it was about them wanting to engage artists in that ideation. So it wasn't about submitting, so anyway,
I thought
got a
the way it
little
read,
confused
it was that,
yeah,
that they're inviting artists to submit work,
yeah.
not ideas.
So that's sort of been scrapped, and it's really just about ideation right now from the community and including the artists. So she wanted to really reach out to the artists in terms of their visionary thinking and creativity about what is possible there. So anyway, it was an interesting conversation.
And is there still, so there's still an opportunity to communicate with them?
Yeah, there's a survey on Engage Kingston. I'm
Oh,
on
there
the
is.
project advisory committee to make sure that the process of utilizing that input from the community is considered carefully and used properly and appropriately.
Have you sent a notification to all of your MAD contacts that that the questionnaire is on Engage Kingston?
Yeah, so it's on our newsletter, and that it is a community-led design project.
Okay.
I've kind of really tamped down the artist part really at this point because we don't wanna raise hackles and,
Okay.
be scrutinized for opening the conversation to the community and.
Yeah, I just wanted everyone to.
Yeah.
Since I didn't know it was on Engage Kingston, because I'm not an active member of MAD, I didn't know.
And welcome to join.
Well, thank you. I thought you only wanted me as a donor. Anyone else have any comments about this? I know you're muted, but if you want to unmute and make comments, happy to hear them. Okay, let's go on to the rest of the agenda. The first is the director's report. Yes, ma'am. Ms.
Hi.
Potter.
Hello. Yeah, the director's report is quite lengthy. It's necessary, as you see in my report, I'm threading all that's going on, and I know I'm missing a whole lot of things, but at least the key things that I'm engaged in are threaded through the priorities as indicated in the master plan. And the first priority A on page 1, Barbara Graves Poller, she reminded the planning committee that resolution 45 of 2022 approved 9-0 at the March council meeting. Adopting arts and culture plan that specifically calls for the incorporation of art sector workers into decision-making by the planning board. Meaning that, if there were considerations of painting crosswalks or anything like that, consideration would be made to hiring our local artists. I am very grateful to our corporation council for being on top of this, on top of the master plan. And when she's coming to these meetings, reminding that we have an approved master plan and to please, adhere and remember that we have people that want to get put to work. Now, as far as permitting is concerned for filming, as everybody knows, you see a lot of cameras come running around Kingston, and that's because we have a lot of filmmakers that love filming in Kingston. So now that it's been handed over to me from the mayor's office, as filmmakers approach me to help them get their permits or what have you, I invite them to City Hall to talk to me about becoming engaged in Kingston arts, not just stopping through to videotape. And also, knowing that we have actors here, we have performers here, we have graphic artists here, just to consider utilizing Kingston talent. I have a lot of good positive feedback from many filmmakers who want to come back and talk to me, run the streets with me on the weekends. I think we got a ball game. As far as workforce development, last time I did announce that we were in the works for grantsmanship training. I had since talked to Allison Pugh, Executive Director of Arts Mid-Hudson, and she asked that I allow her to coordinate these because there's so many different organizations that are doing the same thing. So she'd like it to go under Arts Mid-Hudson, gathering all the partners together so we can have some really comprehensive modules going on with everybody involved, which I agree wholeheartedly.
So she will schedule,
She's going to coordinate,
And
it,
coordinate it.
she's gonna be scheduling to be announced.
okay,
So you know about Maverick Concerts came to CCE, we have fall, and they had so much fun, they're coming back again next year. I had mentioned at the last meeting that September 10th was the opening, would be the opening of the Ben Wakeful exhibition at the Dorski. And I have to say that thanks to Ward, Mintz, and Richard from us, especially taking the lead, this was an outstanding exhibition, but the opening, as the mayor stated, the mayor said he was so surprised to see so many people from Kingston packed into this room. I was greeting people that I haven't seen in decades that came. I have yet to see the exhibition, so next Friday, I'm going back with Anna Conlon, and then I'm asking that before they take it down in December, it's gonna feel really bad, but before they take it down in December, if we can all go back and just spend our time there and have, if there are any artists or, those who are posing in the Communications Village family picture from 71 and again in 22, if we could all talk and have a talk together before we close, have Michael Torres and others photograph it or videotape it, it would be a beautiful thing. Richard, you haven't gotten back to that email, but I emailed you all about that. You, Anna, Zach,
Yeah,
and so I'm just waiting for when we can do this.
yeah, I'm actually wanting to do all kinds of things and I've just been swamped. Right now I'm dealing with the stuff with the estate, and so, I gotta keep on me,
Yeah,
just keep on me.
yeah. So Lisa, could you just interject here what's going on soon with MAD and Ben Wakeful?
Oh, yeah, so the PUG Youth Workforce Training Program has been engaging with the artists and residents through the Eureka House, which is, you need to go there.
I did.
Oh, you did? Okay. They've been generous enough to provide these artists and residents to engage with our students to respond to the Wakeful exhibit at the Dorski with their own artwork. And in a way, igniting the life of, reigniting the life of Communications Village through this exhibit, which will be at the Harambe's Pine Street Burial Ground facility on November 5th, opening reception. So we're gonna have materials coming out soon. I was just talking to them about that. What else can I say? It's beautiful, and they're engaging in it. They went to the Blackburn Studios down in the city this past Saturday. They're engaging on many levels and working in partnership with a lot of organizations in the process. So it's beautiful.
I love it. I'm just so happy about it. I mean, I think Anna from all the directors at Dorski, they're just so excited about the involvement and the heartbeat that is coming from Kingston and the Kingston organizations. And, this just goes forward. I think I can feel comfortable in saying that Brian Wallace from the Center for Photography of Woodstock was so taken by the exhibition and the stories of Communication Village and Watermark Cargo that they're seriously considering naming a floor when they get into a bigger space for Ben Wakeful and Communications Village and opening it up to all of the area youth program providers to come and, just use that as Ben Wakeful would have done to, build and seed and nurture future professional artists. And so this just grows and grows from there.
Yeah.
Well,
There's way more to say.
well done, well done. So as part of the other piece, we had a very successful jazz art performance at TR Gallo, live performance art, about 30 people came to attend, and there was a whole lot of people stopping by, really curious because it was just outstanding. And further collaborations, New Year's Eve, the City of Kingston's 150th anniversary finale, Forward Together. will be a partnership with Old Dutch Church, Ars Crowlis, the Harriet Tubman Journey to Freedom Committee. And it all takes place New Year's Eve, December 31st, 6 p.m. at Old Dutch Church, free and open to the public. And this will be the finale of the 150th. Now, the City Hall exhibition,
Yay!
Kingston Refield exhibition, Mayor Steve Noble, Council Majority Leader Worthington, and the attachment names everybody else that was involved, all the arts commissioners that were involved, all the champions that were involved. We opened October 3rd, welcoming over 200 patrons. An additional 60 have visited. Pablo Shine's Latin Trio was playing, storyteller, singer, Matoka Little Eagle performed. They were extraordinary. We had Draws Pugster, Kayla Keller, who was doing an amazing job as a docent. And with so many requests, plans were in the works with the artist's permission to extend the exhibition through Black History Month. And a lot of people want to hear from the artists. They want to have us all come back and let the artists speak this time, because the artists really didn't get to have the microphone and talk about their feelings. But I've been getting so many compliments, so many people coming and saying, is the art for sale? Who are these people? Are they having shows elsewhere? This is just the beginning of what we can do with the gallery. Thanks to Addie, she did very good work and get us all the SHPO permissions. I have to go further in how much this would cost. But when I talked to the mayor, because he was just so happy about the exhibition and the opening, that, he would like to see the lighting of downstairs.
Yes, here,
Moving
here.
forward. He said if we waited for our one and only electrician, we might get in line for 3 years, but, we can work with our electrician to see if he can't refer, to contract out to others so that we can get this moving a little faster, because it's worth it. It's a beautiful room. The staff has been saying, please don't take this. If you're taking it down, put something else up. Because it's really dreary downstairs without.
I need to talk to you about that. I was actually had the idea of engaging a light designer who volunteers at Ask, that he might have some ideas.
Let's talk about it, because Ward sent over the lighting expert from the Dorski.
Oh.
He's lent some ideas.
Okay,
Julio weighed in as we were doing the install together. I think that, we have the expertise among us to just sit down and get a viable plan. But according to Julio, the lighting is not going to cost that much.
Yeah.
It's really not. And as far as putting it together, it's really not. And we're not, it's not looking like it's hoops, because the mayor is just so excited about this.
Yay.
He'd like to see this move forward rather than sit here and wait for,
Congratulations, Kit. I mean,
Yeah,
it was a
exactly.
triumph.
Yeah, exactly, just wanted to agree with that. It's how much credit you deserve for all the work you put into this.
Yeah.
It's the stories, like, when you're looking at the stories per picture, it really paints a picture of who we are here in Kingston. So many of the artists, like Benny Eckert and others, have been saying that when they came into Kingston, strangers helped them through their storms. People they didn't even know. This is who we are in Kingston, and we want to keep it that colony. I'm going to move on. The exhibition guide is attached. I'm going to actually upload it onto the exhibition page. And moving on to Native American relations. We're still in talks with the mayor about formalizing relations, formal apologies and reconciliations, along with wiping a tear ceremony and a peace tree planting planned on City Hall grounds this spring. I'm really, really excited to announce that the Arts and Cultural Affairs Department, Parks and Rec, the City of Kingston are going to partner with ANNA, the Association of Native Americans in Hudson Valley, at Seed Sod Farm for the first ever annual powwow. This is significant because we're still here. And, we've had a lot of slavery, we've had a lot of immigrants, and we've had a lot of things, but, the hidden people who have been here for 10,000 years need to be acknowledged, recognized, and brought back to the front. So I am really excited about, our formal relations with Anna. and moving forward with, many activities.
I'm sorry, I'm interrupting you, Kit. Dominic said that he's on the waiting room.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Okay.
Okay, moving forward, let me see, I'm gonna drop a bomb right here. I would like to draw your attention to page 3 of my report from Susan Cahill, dated September 13th. And I'm gonna read it out loud so it's recorded on YouTube. To Steve Noble and Kit Potter, subject, O Positive Festival and Mural Painting in Historic Districts. Mayor and Kit, have there been any resolution on the painting of murals on buildings located in the historic districts for the O Positive or any other purpose? We have received in the past the murals. Reviewed in the past the murals on a building on Green Street in the Stockade District. I now have someone that wants to begin painting ASAP for this year on a structure located in the Fair Street Historic District. I'm not comfortable with just allowing murals to go up in our historic district. I was under the understanding that these need the appropriate reviews first. Has anything changed that I'm unaware of? I sent this to commissioners and several emailed back and said we need to put public art policy, and I absolutely agree, back on this agenda and get it moved forward.
But it's not for us, it's for the Historic Preservation Commission, correct?
I think we need to sit with the Historic Preservation Commission and have a
Exactly.
conversation.
Right.
But I also understand that this commission did a lot of work towards public art policy. And unfortunate circumstances occurred that I think, I wasn't there, but I think made it go on the shelf. I think it needs to come back, and I think we need to finalize it. This is just stymieing us. We can move forward with, if we have a public art policy, there's so much more opportunities that we could have as an arts colony, but also as a commission.
I can't agree more, but I would also tell you that I think that how we manage the issue of the murals in historic districts is an important aspect of this. And I think that we need to talk about it, and we also need to contact our colleagues at Historic Preservation to see, what they're thinking.
Well, I agree with both. I think we're both agreeing with both that we need to, especially the historic preservation piece, I think they need our help in this.
I mean, I never got over the mural on the Stuyvesant Hotel. I just think it's just a terrible addition, for example, to the Stockade Historic District. And so it's one example of how that can serve as a launch pad to have this discussion as far, for me.
So what would you suggest, a separate meeting with whomever can make it and members of or maybe we can visit their next meeting?
I'd also be interested in, if it's possible, to do some research on murals in historic districts in other cities.
You didn't do that when you guys drafted the.
When we did this, I mean, I remember I don't remember talking about historic districts.
We didn't.
There you are. It's a better memory than I do. But I was on the board of Friends of Historic Kingston when we questioned the mural on the Stuyvesant Hotel.
Is that the Rupco room?
Yeah, and it was Rupco that decided to go.
I remember that meeting.
To go with, but I don't want to talk about it now, but just to give you a sense, I think that we really haven't had this conversation.
Well, I think that's a much more interesting and framework from the historic preservation perspective. I mean, I'm not looking to curate myself, really.
Yeah.
As a person and as a citizen in this city. It's not, everybody has their opinions about what's a good mural and what's not a good mural. But I think within the context of the history and culture of the city is a much stronger place to come from, I think.
We've also gained a lot from learning what other cities that are more or less our size have done with these issues. I know, how many years ago has it been now that I downloaded, other policies? But I think that that's a very useful thing to do as well. So I think we can begin the conversations.
So why don't we just say that, those of us who will ask if we can visit the next Preservation Commission meeting.
But we should have a perspective on it before we visit.
I'd like to see the policy that was drafted. I haven't even seen it.
Well, there was another issue.
There was a policy that was drafted before I came on the commission.
Yeah, right.
I think it will be important also to review what happened back in the days, and I don't know if you have discussed this with the mayor, what happened with the proposal of the I don't know if it was a law on public art word, the draft that the commission trying to implement. I don't know exactly what was the name, but I remember, if I remember correctly, please correct me if not, that there were some decisions made by the mayor in that regard.
I don't remember any decisions that were made. We had meetings, some of the meetings were not in a quorum-related location, just to have some discussions about how we were going to go about this. It's an interesting challenge in a city where there is such a strong organization that is devoted to creating murals.
Julio has his hand up.
Yeah, this is just an observation, but it seems to me that when you designate an area a historical district, you essentially want hands off in terms of changing that character, so that there are other parts of the city that you can have murals. But I think if you want to keep the character of those areas, and then you don't want murals in historical districts.
That's a very well said comment.
Indeed.
If a resident can't choose.
I mean, you can have it. It can be in other areas of the city. I mean, it doesn't mean that it can't be.
You're both speaking at the same time, and you both have good things to say. So, go. You want to finish, Julio?
Yes, I'm just merely saying that you want to respect the designation of a historical district by not playing with it. just keep you upgrade it, you preserve it, but you want to keep that flavor. There are other parts of the city where you can have murals all over, but the historical district should be off limits.
Yeah.
Thank you. Lisa, you had an important thing to say.
Well, there is a rule in historic districts. Property owners must submit to historic preservation any changes to the facade of their building. And I mean, this is not being adhered to, even from the property owner's perspective.
But you even mentioned the paint color.
But the paint color, yeah, like you have to choose specific paint colors for your home. If it's registered as an historic home, I don't know if it's the same for the whole district. But if it's registered, you definitely have to adhere by certain rules. We need to look at that. And I mean, the Historic Preservation Commission needs to, we need to have a conversation.
We need to sit with them and find out what the rules are and how we can work together on this. And I think separately or together, we should have a City of Kingston public art policy. The one thing that, kind of confused me when I came on board here is that when I, looked at Opositive's website, it says that they determine public art policy. And I didn't understand that because I thought that was up to the municipality or the council or the commissions to determine that. So let's please, for me and for others like Sue Cahill and other senior directors in the City of Kingston, if we could please keep this on the agenda. And I will look into when their next meeting, the planning, the historic commission will be, preservation commission will be meeting again, and perhaps we can zoom in, listen in. Yes, Richard?
No, finish, I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
Finish what you're saying.
Yeah, okay, and
No,
I just have, you want to say something?
Yeah, I do want to say something. I didn't want to interrupt you. No, I would like to suggest that we form a committee to go over these policies that we've had, a small committee that's not it can't be a quorum. So that we can just meet, to do business, that can be presented to the commission, and also help to link with, it would be good to talk to some of the historic people, outside of just having a meeting, so that we start laying the basis of this kind of collaboration. This is something that's way down. Go ahead.
And perhaps we need to invite O Positive to present their public art policy.
Can I first say that before we do that?
Lindsay.
We'd love to invite Allison Pugh, because I had a lovely talk with our new executive director of Arts, Smith Hudson, and she loves this stuff, and she knows a lot about it, and she has a lot of good recommendations. So it'd be great, because so much work has been done by this commission on this. And again, we have a historic preservation commission. Before we take it back to the public, it would be great if we could establish something very concrete that we could move forward in a timely way, because I think a lot of the discussion has taken place.
Well, we also have a lot of new people on the commission who know very little, if nothing, about what our previous discussions
I
were
certainly
about.
have. Addie took great notes. I mean, I can just share.
Great.
But Richard also has provided some other background materials, so perhaps Richard and I together can, put a package together so that you don't have to, because Addie even had the emails, the comments,
No, let's make it
she was
smaller.
great. So we'll make it smaller and just have a couple of files.
Edit. And I want, very much to have Maria Elena involved in this as our chair. And, because she should be doing some of the, work on, deciding who the chair of the subcommittee should be. And so we have a lot of work to do.
Okay, but that subcommittee should also be involving some members, outside of the commission, which is what,
I don't necessarily, I think that should be their decision,
whose decision?
the subcommittee.
Oh, all right, yeah.
Are you a member of the commission? Do tell.
I would suggest in that regard that let's try to put all the information together, the information that we have, if we can get anything from the preservation commission or committee or something like that. And anyway, I would like to double check with Mayor Noble what happened 3 or 4 years ago. I don't remember when it was. You don't think, Ward, that we should
I
ask?
think nothing happened, but that's,
I don't think
there is no
I
policy ever
think
brought
he's
to.
waiting for us to come up with the
Okay.
policy.
Yeah,
I
it's
think
just that
because of some very bad behavior, he was protecting an employee.
Yeah, no, I understand it. It's just that because I don't really know exactly what was the last move. It's just to try to take from that.
That's what.
So I will assemble brief between Richard's good notes and Addie's. I will also contact the Historic Preservation Commission to find out, whatever their policies might be, and forward it to the commissioners. We got to move on now, because I know that I'm not the only one in the room. I have one more. There's a lot of other things in my report, but I would just like to say that I was so glad that the mayor told me to invite as many commissioners and neighbors as possible to yesterday's press conference, announcing that Baxter was selected for the redevelopment of 615 Broadway, formerly known as Broadway Commons, Kings Inn. so many of our Arts Commission partners, Tyrone Wilson, Human Rights Commission, and part of what Tyrone Wilson's post is focused on is housing as a human right. He was given that last year when we had, previous to that, an eviction epidemic, of course. So there was a whole lot of questions peppered at these poor Baxter people, but when I took the microphone, I had said, thank you for inviting us to be a part of the discussion before the first nail goes in. So I will be contacting them so that they can come and visit the Kingston Arts Commission. I will also be, taking them by the hand around to Madra, around to the area, the art, Midtown Art District restaurants, residents, CCE. One thing that I loved that Drew raised his hand about when we were looking at their rendering and some of their visionary posters is we have a park desert here, and he has just been so depressed about the fact that these kids that live in this area do not have a park with some grass under their feet to play on. So I don't think they understood what park desert meant. So we're going to have a good conversation about that
No,
too.
they didn't, right?
Yeah, I think so. So, but I was glad to see us all come out for this. It just made me proud because I just sent the announcement out to the commissioners and the partners, and I turned around and I saw so many commissioners showing up. I saw Tyrone, I saw Drew. It was great. Richard came. It was good. So I'm waiting for the next bid, so we can all, be a part of it. I'm grateful to the mayor that he's involving me in these bids, and he's asking for, portions for affordable housing. He's asking that the arts are included in their designs. And that's what I will close with. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Kit. Those are some very important issues. And it's nice, it is really important to know that the mayor is catching on.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Do you have any idea of the timeline for the ARPA funding?
No, he's coming to visit us next month.
Okay.
I'm gonna let him speak for himself.
All right.
Yeah.
Is ARPA funding for what?
Arts.
For the arts?
Yeah.
Yeah, remember, we got 17 million in ARPA funding, and then it took about 9 months to find a person, and so we found Bill Reynolds, who I think came out of retirement so that he could take this and run with it. So he's just because he just started a few weeks ago, maybe not even a month ago. So he is getting everything situated. He will be, talking to us next month about what the rollout for the 1.5 million designated for the arts will be looking like. And here are comments about that, our recommendations.
So he is making recommendations for the rollout and we will comment on them?
No, he is listening to us.
Wow. So this is really important stuff.
It's very important stuff.
And do we have, we really need to, really think about what the possibilities are. We even may want to think about what other cities have done with their ARPA funding or other municipalities. But this is.
Yeah, because when Ruth Ann first started talking about this, as you recall, earlier this year, she said the only thing, it was very vague, they were waiting for the manager to get here, was that a portion of it would be run through the city for events and festivals, and another portion hopefully run through or pass through Arts Mid-Hudson for individuals. But that's vague.
But nothing about organizations, arts organizations, nothing about public art, all of which, for example, might be very important use of this money.
The only thing that I'm looking at is that it is recovery money. So I would really personally like to see that, the money is focused on, or, the people who we will be obligating this money for would be the ones who were hurt during COVID or still hurting. We're hurting before COVID. That helped them to get back on their feet more, or because after, we were talking about this as far as funding is concerned. I'm sorry we're taking so much time on my report, but it's important.
No, it's not.
Before COVID, we were worried about funding for the arts. We were worried about support. We have a 3-year waiting list for artists that are waiting to get into the Lakes Mill. They all qualify. And so a lot of the funding that we have seen during COVID is temporary money. Coming back into 23, we will be seeing less of that money for arts organizations and individuals. Back to where I was worried back in 18 and 19 about the lack of funding for the arts. However, coming into the next few years here in Kingston, at least we have that rolled out. 1.5 million to me is very little money. So, I've been, he's my roommate because they moved Summer Smith up to the mayor's conference room. Now she looks like a real press secretary, by the way. And Bill Reynolds is next to me. And so I'll peek in once in a while and I'll just ask him what his ideas are. And, he wants to hear, I think the mayor is going to have him moving from department to department to department, having meetings with everyone to get everyone's input. But, now that we're here, I think we're in like year 1 and we should have spent some money now. So going into year 2, we're going to have to move it along.
Well, one of the things that I think is interesting is that, the city has no percent for art program. And maybe some of this ARPA money could be allocated for the beginnings of a percent for art program, which the city, a city should be doing, not, any other entity, for example. But no, there's a lot to do.
There's a lot
to
going
work
on. A lot going on.
Yeah, but and I think that all of us are kind of wading into this without knowing much about, other than the ARPA money that the organizations that we happen to be associated with managed to snatch. We don't know, very much about the broader issues of the ARPA money or what's important 4 years after, or 3 years, I'm sorry, after, the pandemic began. So
Right.
it's a
One of the advantages that we have is that our Peter Criswell, our exiting commissioner, is working on the county level ARPA programming and funding. And he will be working with Bill Reynolds, helping him to, so he's, got what they have done with the arts county wise. He can, help Bill to, get situated, with the city. But I just still think it's very important that we, bear in mind, what we'd like to suggest to him. And again, my thing is, and I have been wondering, well, is it gonna be where anybody who feels like having a festival or an event can apply and get this money, or is it going to be earmarked towards Kingston first? So those are questions that I have right off the bat.
And if you were to ask anyone at this meeting, what did the county do with its ARPA money? Guess what? I bet you no one knows.
I don't know.
So, just saying. Anyone on the Zoom have any comments about this?
I just wanted to add, last week we Admin Hudson put together a forum with the state senator candidates. Sue Serino didn't show up or offer any alternative, but Michelle Hinchey was there. And she commented that the state approved or is about to approve, I'm not so sure, about 4 billion for things related also to art, precisely to prevent, well, not to prevent, but to compensate what Kit just mentioned, that we were getting all this money because of COVID, but now we are going to start receiving less and less and less. So apparently the state has voted for something to try to keep some of the money to the arts organizations coming despite COVID or no. I don't remember exactly because my head, this cold medication is keeping me dizzy, but there is something there that maybe will be worthy to discuss or to find out more. I don't know if you know anything about that, Kit.
No, I don't. I'd love to hear more.
Yeah, but yeah, she mentioned a good amount of money.
Good.
Okay.
I think there's a recording of that meeting. It's gonna come around.
Shall we go on to our?
Ward?
Yes,
Ward? Yes,
yes,
yes.
yes, sir.
Could I say something?
You can say everything.
Okay, so look, this seems to me like a opportunity to think about partnership with restaurants and bars in Kingston City, in the city of Kingston, to see if we can run a pilot where we partner with the businesses to bring in jazz, salsa, and perhaps folk music in some of the restaurants and bars as a way of increasing visits to the area. And it's also a way of supporting the performing artists that live in Kingston.
Gee, what an interesting idea. I wonder if there are any rules in the city about when music can be played or not in restaurants and bars. I have no idea whatsoever about it, but I think we should put that down as the agenda as a possible use of funds.
We need another ideation.
Hey, I just want to jump in for a second. It's Dominic.
Yeah, hi, Dominic.
Hi, everyone. Julio, I think actually that's a great idea. And I was wondering even if we've ever done this in the past, in the same way that I want to say it was just over the summer where we used the sort of square where they have the farmers market, where they used it for the documentary to share the history of Kingston. Like, what if we did something like what Julio is expressing, where we have like sort of this music vibe that's like, you know, inclusive and not necessarily skewed to a particular demographic, but it's something that's fun and engaging that sort of brings people in around a particular time. So whether it's the holidays or it's the summer, like summers and, you know, like evening jazz, I don't know. I see what you're saying, Julio, and I really like it. I'm also thinking about like, how could we do something like that for those that may not drink, for example, who may not go to a restaurant or go to bars as well. So just another thought.
It's very good.
It's not inconsiderable to administer, by the way. I mean, so it's another thing to think about is setting up the program, applications, how does the funding take place? Does it take place through the city? Is there an organization that gets the city money to do it? So there's a lot to think about as far as the details are concerned. Anyone else? Shall we go on? Well, I guess there are going to be some things on the agenda continually, which is good. It says here, master plan priorities for the Kingston Arts Commission. I wasn't sure.
The last week before you went overseas, you had.
Oh.
You sent us notes.
You.
Oh, I didn't.
You put us to the fire and said, look, we got to deal with this.
So is that what I mean, I agree.
Great.
You agree with yourself?
Yeah. But
And percent was for art was one, so we just mentioned that, but there were several items that you had stated. And
the percent for art is definitely very high up on my list.
Yeah.
But I see here priority D, establish the ACA as a permanent municipal department, integrate arts and cultural planning in Kingston housing. And I mean, this is heavy stuff. That's what I'm looking at for the director's report.
You sent some notes, shall I?
Yeah, please.
Okay, you pointed out specific parts of the arts and cultural master plan that you thought that we should focus upon to start a conversation. Some of those things are the items that were recommended, included forming a creative arts business alliance to serve and preserve Kingston's creative economy, for which you were like, who's gonna do that? Question marks. Also creating an arts and creative fund to which private businesses can make tax deductible contributions, and what that looks like. I do know that there is a community fund that the Good Work Institute is gonna be starting, and they're gonna be having some information sessions about that soon. So there's this kind of through line that's happening in our community about that. I think we should stay apprised of that. Continuing to host exhibitions at City Hall, which, you know, I know we've already, it's happening. Strengthening and formalizing the city's DEIA committee and reaching out to arts and cultural organizations to join that committee. And then inviting them to our meetings, which I had an indirect idea about that. I wanted to pose to you when you weren't so crazy, and neither was I, but I don't know if that's ever gonna happen. Of arranging a commissioners mixer, you know, maybe just a casual get together of all the commissions to meet and greet.
I love that.
Yeah, and then the last one that you have here is the arts percent for arts program.
So I guess we can't do all at once because I don't think that we have the capacity. So one of the issues that we should think about is what are the top two?
Yeah.
For example, of all of these. Does everyone have that document that I sent around? No. You're not on the commission. That was Richard. Does everyone have the document? You on the screen, you folks?
I'm looking for it.
No, I'm saying it, if not, we can send it again and you know, start thinking about how we want to prioritize. I mean, I know what my top priority is, and because I never stop talking about it, which is the percent for art programs. And you know, after that, if others have other priorities, I think it's very important that we prioritize so that we don't get lost in the desert of, you know, talking about 5 things at once.
I agree. And I think we'll keep this on the agenda, those items. I mean, exhibitions, like you said, you know, that's a given. So we can take that off of those, but percent for art, maybe that's a conversation with Bill Reynolds to see if, and the mayor, to see if some of that ARPA money can help seed and get that program going. Can any of the other ARPA funds designated for the arts seed any of those other initiatives? I mean, as far as establishing committees, you know, I think with the DEIA, Marilena had several organizations mentioned. And the thing is that we're all just actually getting all of this done. I had mentioned this when I first came on board, that a lot of the priorities that are there, we just have to do what Hip Potter is doing and take them apart and just say, yes, well, we've gotten this done, we've gotten this done, we've gotten this done, because I think we have a really, we have a lot of bragging rights by the end, because each commissioner is so involved with so many things going around in the city. And Marlena is doing so much with DEIA, just naturally, organically. But it's just a matter of looking at this master plan and just writing what has been done. I just talked to Ann Bailey about it, you know, over at MAD. You can look at this master plan and just look at MAD and say, okay, go ahead and fill in what MAD has done.
But other cities, for example, have taken the idea of an arts, a creative arts and business alliance to attract funders, businesses that are not necessarily arts businesses. That we're very lucky in Kingston to have so many of those, but also other kinds of businesses that don't necessarily usually give to the arts, like banks, for example. And you know,
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
and so I think that you know, each one of these is worth, you know, looking at and discussing, because while this may have been put into the Arts Master Plan, it's not like the current commission has talked about them. And I think one way of going about this is if each person on the commission would take a look at the document and and talk about what means the most to him or her, so that at least we could get a sense of what your priorities are and how we want to spend our time on this. Does that make sense to everyone?
Yeah.
Richard?
Totally makes sense.
Oh, I'm sorry, something.
Dominic, you said it does?
Yes, yes, crystal clear.
Okay, thank you.
Something that I have been pushing for a number of years is when you talk about the relationship of arts and businesses, arts-related businesses, is what's your definition of arts-related businesses? Because that can be expanded hugely.
Yeah, I'm not talking about arts-related
No,
businesses at all.
Well, but you
I'm
mentioned.
talking about business and the arts.
Yes, right, but you said businesses that aren't necessarily related to the arts, and that's something that can be looked at narrowly, or it can be looked at far more broadly. When
Okay.
you look at fabricators,
But we're not going to be talking about it right now.
no, we're not, but I'm just saying that it's that's where you really start
No, that's
involving
a very good
people.
point.
That's what something
It's a very good point. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay,
Welcome.
so we're gonna work on that. And now we're gonna have an update on the Harriet Tubman statue. Yay!
It's happening. Right?
I think the two people here probably know more than I do. Would you like to begin? Who would like to begin?
Well, I can begin because I've been a part of these meetings the last week or so. You know, it's exciting. It's coming together. Let's see, we have a production schedule, we got a parade route for the November 1st welcoming celebration of the statue. The sculpture is coming from Rochester, New York, on November 1st. And there's a parade starting at Pine Street Burial Ground to the Ulster County Building. And we met with DPW yesterday, me, Susie, Ty, and Lisa Berger and DPW, and we know exactly where she's going.
This is city or county DPW?
County DPW.
Thank you.
Yeah, so we worked through the logistics of that because, you know, it's a 2-ton sculpture, 9 feet long by, you know, wide, and it's gonna be cool. And Susie's working on the program. We're still identifying events that's going in this program. It's pretty amazing. I know it seems like a little late, but all these organizations are really coming forward now, and they're like, oh, we could do this and we could do that. I was in a meeting with Ty and Drew and Miss V and Evelyn Clark, and just talking about the celebration, and they were like, oh, well, we also have this regular drum circle. Yubaka Hill was in the meeting. She has a regular drum circle. We're gonna include that in the calendar. They're gonna pull together a performance. They're gonna do a performance of Negro spirituals and quotes from Harriet Tubman and making some motifs. They're gonna do like a staged performance, possibly at the Clinton Avenue Church. They're working on producing this whole thing in December. That's also going to be added. I don't know to date how many items are on that calendar, but probably close to 25 or 30. And it's most of them are in Kingston, but we're also going to include Ulster County in it because, you know, Ulster County is really footing the bill on this in tourism. So we're going to include the Ben Wakeful exhibit at the Dorski. We're going to include the Hudson Valley premiere of the documentary about Pauline Oliveros, who is a local feminist hero and artist, and totally aligned with, you know, with those pillars that we're all talking about, and you know, and that's just opening the doors for a lot of other things, and people, yeah, it's very exciting. And
Has a
I
press
feel like-
release gone out about this?
Yeah, it went out a couple of weeks ago.
Okay.
Ulster County Tourism has a press release on their website. They're gonna, once the calendar of events is finalized in the program, we'll put it up on that page on Ulster County Alive.
So, so we're, as I have it in my calendar, we're expected at around 4:30 on November 1st, correct?
November
At the
1st.
site.
At the site, yeah, at the site. And, yeah, we're gonna have bubbles and, and instruments and drummers, and, they're talking about kente cloth armbands.
I have a question, you know, I just don't give it all away, we'll wait, the program will be out soon. And I think everybody's just gonna be stunned, it's beautiful. Who's documenting this? What, do we have anybody filming, you know,
The installation of the sculpture.
You know, one thing that I noticed with Newburgh, if you go on Newburgh's, the library's website, it makes you cry because you see, it's, you know, her coming down Broadway and you see people coming out of stores and looking, and you see this massive and flags and people, and, you know, then we have, of course, that first weekend is huge. You have David Gonzalez Finding North on Friday, and then you have Harriet Tubman movie, and then, Pastor Rob Sweeney was pouting, so we said, well, I want to be in it too, so he's having church, and Miss Renee Bailey's going to be a guest. Miss Renee Bailey is going to be a guest singer, and Frederick Douglass, played by Oliver King, will do some readings. And then you're looking at peppering the rest of her visit with all kinds of amazing things, including who's got the right to tell whose story, which is a very controversial panel discussion being hosted at the library. And it's like, I hope somebody's going to film all this.
That's true.
And do we know who?
Well,
we have a
Radio
budget
Kingston,
for?
Radio Kingston, I'm trying to identify right now, what we want live streamed. Sam Collins is coming, is that his name? He's gonna be here in the council chambers.
But I think having a videographer or having a filmmaker, whatever we are calling these days, is a very, very important thing.
Yeah,
From the parade especially, I'm talking about just coming in, and then, you know, I know that Old Dutch has the wherewithal to stream live. You know, the Finding
Yeah.
North, and it will be archived on the Old Dutch. However, do we have a central point where, well, we have a Facebook presence. Frank Waters put together a Facebook, Harriet Tubman's visit to Kingston. Are we gonna be populating that with video? And so that we can have that, and when she leaves, we will have that perpetuity, so.
well, I mean, to be honest with you, we don't have the budget for it, to be able to pay someone for
Well, then
documentation.
what I suggest then
So-
is those, who have the new I-14 phones or what have you, if we can ask people to please, you know.
Okay, we can
submit.
identify those people. I mean, maybe I could, get some of the post students to document, but they're gonna be
They're gonna be-
slammed with the Ben Wickfall
Yeah.
exhibit that week. There's a lot going
So,
on
yeah,
that week.
I think that if we can just get organized with that and just, you know, as you see people, because you know how people are, they love to, you know, especially Drew. Drew Andrews is the picture taker,
Yeah,
he is the video taker.
Oh, really?
He's gonna be doing it, sure.
If he could just send all that to the Facebook page so that, you know,
Yeah.
at the end of the
We could
year,
develop a hashtag.
and again, for a long time to come, you know, people can, those that missed her when she was here, they can go and they can see.
It's a very nice idea.
Finding North is just incredible, and I know that Old Dutch will film it and keep it on their website, we
Yeah.
can share it, but when it comes down to all these other activities, and Iona's activity, Jaguar Mary X is our distinguished artist, and she is doing something.
Here.
I don't know, I can't keep up with what's
Okay.
going on,
Oh,
but I did see it on the calendar, I think she wanted a tent.
okay.
You know, so it's how and who might just hold their phone up. I mean, if we, of course, you know, like hiring somebody like Sarah, Carlson or something like that would be a lot of money. And we, of course, we don't have the budget, but again, these super duper iPhones are, well put together.
One really beautiful thing, about the, arrival of the statue on that day is that they're going to do a route, down Broadway, through Henry Street, with noisemakers and bullhorn and just get people out of their doors as the sculpture goes by. So bringing it into the neighborhood
Yeah.
before it arrives at Harambe. And yeah, and then that'll be like the beginning. Hopefully it'll bring everybody out to join us in the parade.
I just hope we have good weather.
Yeah, that's
The
great.
mayor has, Lisa and I will be working on the city's end with the permits and what have you. But the mayor was very strong and he just made me remember the blizzard of Halloween 2012. And the case, their Halloween was destroyed. We got like suddenly 8 inches of snow. The roads were impassable, and then the next day, everything was clean and it didn't snow for the rest of the winter.
Mr. Optimist, the
So
mayor.
there is a rain date for the parade, but the arrival of the statue cannot be rescheduled. So if anything, we'll parade ourselves on November 2nd.
Right.
There's,
So we'll work out, you and I will work on just making sure we have both dates and the police and fire, whoever has to be appointed
right.
will be there. Okay, we got,
Great news, great stuff going on, terrific. Richard, you had something to say regarding this?
No, I was just asking where it started.
Oh, okay. This is, Maria Elena, I think that I missed your review and vote on rules of procedure. Do you want to talk about that now?
But anyway, as Kate said before, we don't have a quorum to vote on that. So I don't know if we can discuss.
I just think that we move it because we now only have 10 minutes and the planning, zone will be wanting to come into the room. Did you want to adjourn and go to executive session to make recommendations to the mayor about commission appointments so that we can get some more people in the room?
Maria Elena, what do you think?
Yeah, well, we go back to the same thing, how we can have an executive session if we don't have a quorum.
Because it's the mayor's decision to appoint.
So this
So
is,
you can make recommendations to him and he can appoint without having a formal vote.
Oh, okay, perfect. So let's go to the executive.
Okay, let me, don't talk yet until I take a
Something
social.
on leave then?
No.
Is it just executive committee?
I don't know, what an executive session means that Richard has to leave.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you, Richard.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Richard. So wonderful to have you with us.
Yes. I will see you.
I remember. I remember that Anne said that we could invite whoever we wanted, but
Okay. So